I just want to share a few things that I've had to learn the hard way. And I want to preface this, and I want this to be more of an open call because it's just me, Claudia, and Felix on here. So we don't have a guest. So I hate hearing myself talk. I don't want to be talking the whole time. So if you guys do have any questions throughout this, please stop me. But I want to preface this with, dude, this business really changed my life. And I look at the talent on the Zoom, I look at the people we work with, and it's like we work with so many talented people. And I've been around the block long enough where there's really no better opportunity than here at Pinnacle from the support, the help, the people we work with, the culture, everything else. So we have all the tools at our disposal to really explode our business. But if you're looking to grow the business, like somebody was just asking me, Jonah, do you think everybody should hire and recruit? And the answer to that is honestly no, absolutely not. Because it takes a certain type of person to build the business where, A, if you're just looking for a 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, you're better off just personally producing. Because the amount of like last minute flights, late night phone calls, putting out this, that, etc., agents needing help, it's 24/7. So you truly have to care about people and have a servant's mentality and have the ability to put people first. And it all starts with personally producing on your own pen. But I look at so many people on this call, and leadership development is one of the most rewarding aspects of this business. And just throughout the years, and more than anything now, is like, dude, we want to see you guys and we want to help you guys grow. Where we're investing more back into the business than we ever have. And I'm fully willing to invest it all back in order to figure out how we can really explode this thing. And so I want to share my screen, and I've got a few things prepared. Uh, Hold on, give me one sec. All right, so this is the home page of the website. So on the website, if you click on Agent Portal, one thing that we just added, we not only have agent access, but we have manager access now. So anybody that has 5 or more active issue paying downlines gets access to the manager portal. And then in here, we created some scripts. We have the leadership blueprint. We have the interview script, one-on-one call SOPs, social media marketing, Instagram DM outreach, SOP, yearly income calculator. So we're going to be going over a couple of these today. Number one, just when you're looking to build the business, this is the framework that you want to build the business around. And these are 10 of our core values. And we came up with this at our last leadership retreat with Nick Alfano in the cabin. So it's just starts with integrity. That's first and foremost. Having an ownership mindset, like having an ownership entrepreneur, the ability to, hey, this is my baby, this is my business, and not a renter's mindset. Obviously, this business takes a lot of resilience, especially for starting out. There's going to be days where you want to quit. We've all had those thoughts. Having faith, standards, growth, results, unity, being a brotherhood, impact, everything else. I also included, this is one thing that I had written down on my whiteboard for the longest time, was John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. So the lowest level is position, where people just follow you because they have to. Like, oh, that would be called a boss. And we've all had bosses. And typically that's not an effective leader. Number 2 is permission. People follow you because they want to. Production is people follow you because of results. Number 4 is people development. People follow you because you grow other people. And then ironically enough, the last level of leadership is pinnacle, where people follow you because of who you are and what you represent. So that's most important. And then for anybody that does want to build the business, it comes down to these are really the 3 streams of income and the 3 ways we get paid. Where number 1, personal production, that's where it starts, producing off of your personal pen. And so your personal pen will always be your biggest override. And so it starts with that. Then that's what allows you to not only have the credibility to, like, okay, this person knows what he's talking about. He's walked the walk, he's produced, but it also gives you the cash flow to reinvest back into your business because when you're first starting, your personal pen is the only source of your income. And then from there, number two is your base shop. So when you're first starting, everybody starts in your base shop. And that's basically your incubator and that's your baby. Where that's where you're pouring into people, you're developing them, you're growing them, you're looking to see who are my emerging leaders that are looking to grow the business. And then lastly is going to be your teams. And this is more of a volume play. Where a lot of times on your biggest teams, you're never going to have a huge override on them, but that also gives you the credibility and the volume that you need. So before we get into like how to effectively recruit and build the business, it really comes down to, well, why do people quit? Why do people quit life insurance? A lot of us have heard the statistic where 95% of people quit within their first year. Luckily, our stats are way better than that, and we don't have nearly that many people quit, but people still fall off. So number one, first and foremost, it comes down, it's poor mindset and confidence is what it is. And under that specifically is belief. Belief in themselves, and then secondly is belief in the product. So somebody comes in with the mindset of like, all right, well, I'm just gonna try this thing out. We'll see how it goes. Da 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 da. If they have shitty habits or they're not hungry, they don't have grit, then that's somebody that's it's almost impossible for that person to grow. Secondly is belief in the product, where I've also seen people come in and they're like, dude, I'm just trying to make a bunch of money. And that might work in the short term, but I've never seen a top producer or somebody come in and produce on a very high level and have long-term success that doesn't believe in the product that they're selling. And I've said this before, but I genuinely cannot think of anything more important we could possibly be selling than protection for somebody's family. And so, secondly, is they're just people, they're not making money. And when they're not making money, it's either lack of support or they're not hitting their proper inputs that they need to. So it's our job as leaders to A, be there for them and provide all the resources that they need and sow good seeds and plant and develop those people. But also, just as importantly, set the right expectations. We're like, hey, this is going to be hard. Where any business you're starting, the margins are so thin that most businesses, 95% of businesses are not profitable within the first 3 years. The first 3 years are basically break even. So, dude, we have the ability where you have the ability to break even in month one, and you can be profitable 90 days, 3 months into this business. But it takes with setting the right expectations and having the right mindset coming into this. Where we're all on TikTok, social media is like, I'm so over the old virtual work from home, close deals in your pajamas, cozy, just made $3,000 before noon, made three dials. It's like that's not how this business works. So you're doing, and we've all done it, but you're doing people a disservice by pitching that. Where my style and my recruiting strategy has been like, I'll get somebody on a Zoom, and a lot of you guys have been on Zooms with me, where it's like, hey, this is how many dials I made today, this week, this month. This is how much I spent on leads. This is how much I produced. This is how much I deposited. This is what this looks like. It's a lot of work, but it also pays really well. How do you think you'd perform? And then boom. Lack of work ethic is probably one of the biggest ones. Not sticking to the proper structure. So making sure like stick to the process, stick to the script, grass is greener, and then wrong expectations. So Felix, anything you would add to that?
Few things, right? A few things. One of the most important here is I don't think none of us in this call struggle just recruiting, just bringing people. And hear me out here. we can all bring in people, but just like our clients, we can talk to many, but who are truly staying, right? So what I want to put in front of you all is I've always operated, and I recommend, because this is what a lot of corporations do extremely well. There's 4 pillars that I always want to talk about. Recruiting, right? So those are just bringing people in the door. You want to make sure that as you're recruiting, you have a specific target that you're working towards. Is that 10 conversations a week? Is that 5 conversations a week, right? You truly want to be honest with yourself, and you're saying, how do I move the needle if I'm not measuring, especially if your goal is to build a team and grow? What are your goals? Majority of people fail in business because they don't have clear goals, hence not a clear plan. So number one, recruiting. How many calls are you needing to get your goal if you know that out of the people you talk to, 10% join your team? That's number one. Number two is hiring, right? As soon as you're so excited that you close that deal, if it's not approved, it's not issued. Same mindset with your agents, with your people. If they came in and I just plug them into the system and I don't have a clear expectation of what I need from them with clear timelines, they may fall off. They may not even take the exam at the end of the day. So you want to make sure that you have that constant visibility, because sometimes, and I get a lot of questions around, I want to grow my team. What can I do better? But it starts with, how are you treating one person as soon as they join? Are you walking them through the process? Or are you just plugging them in and telling them good luck and figure it out? And then number 3, go ahead, brother.
No, I want to add one more thing to that, on what you said, where you brought an important point, where that's where a lot of people have a bad taste in their mouth of like, oh, this is an MLM, of like, it's like, just to set the clarification, building a team is just as much work, I would say more work, than personally producing. So it really comes down to, like Felix said, setting the right expectations, but more importantly, creating the right structure for people to succeed. Because without structure and without set SOPs and setting those and just setting the right inputs and the right standards with your group and your people, it's impossible to scale. Because it doesn't matter how big or small your sales organization is, you're only as strong as your weakest link.
100%, right? And I mentioned 4 pillars, right? Recruiting, hiring, onboarding. Guys, remember, and we've all been part of this, the fastest and most efficient way we can get an agent winning, even if they're going through contracting, imagine what's going through their mind, through their head, especially if they need to pay bills. Oh my God, it's taking a while. Oh my God, what's happening with this contract? Oh my God, I still see in my Sure LC that it's a bay. What does that mean? We have the foundation, but it's on us as AKA leaders to take a step further and also create your own SOPs and structure to make sure that, like we discussed, we have a setup program now that we're starting, that I'm sure we'll talk more about it. We're talking with the managers. While my agents are getting licensed, have them win. Give them a preview of what they can expect their day-to-day will look like. Because there's a difference between us telling the expectations in the interview versus them living it day by day in the real world already. It's completely different. And then number 4, which I really hope you guys are taking note and writing this down: recruiting, hiring, onboarding. I call it the nesting period. Nesting. It shouldn't take us more than a week to have our people win and get their first sale. Our expectation is 48 hours. And guys, and a lot of you may disagree with this, but this is what's been working. Even if you have to show up to that appointment with that agent just to get their belief system and belief level higher, do that for them. Do that with them. Because the faster you do that, especially if they're an agent that you're hiring because you see a potential that they're going to be a leader, that initial time invested is going to duplicate. or decide I'm not going to hire anybody if you're not going to be willing to stay in with them until they win. Those are a few points I wanted to add. That nesting period is where a lot of people struggle the most. And that's where at the same time you want them to be self-sufficient, yes. But people, majority of the times, need to be told what to do, especially during their first 90 days. Because a lot of doubts are creeping in constantly. So you want to be checking in with them.
100%. And that's not a bad thing either. Like, I mean, that's a good thing. I have multiple mentors in my life, and I have mentors for different areas. Like, I've got a mentor for business, and I have a mentor for faith. And I come to them. There's different like things I'm working on or working on improving, and I come to them. I'm like, hey, how would you do this? What would you do if you were in my shoes? How would you approach this situation? And I want them to tell me, like, I would recommend you do this, this, and this, because coachability is the only way to succeed in this business. What we can't instill when we're looking to bring somebody in, if they have a shitty mindset, there is absolutely nothing we can do to help that person. Like, I've tried. God knows I've tried. Felix has tried, Claudia. There's a lot of us on the call has tried. Like, if they have, and putting myself in those shoes, where I was just telling an agent this a week ago, where if I would have found this opportunity a year sooner, I wouldn't have worked out because I didn't have the base. I wasn't, I was hanging out with the wrong people. I was partying. I wasn't working out. I wasn't prioritizing my health. I wasn't prioritizing my personal development. So all of those different areas where a lot of times when I get on a call with an agent where it's mind, body, spirit, if they're struggling, one of those areas in their life, a lot of times they're not as consistent with as they should be, or they're struggling with. So making sure that you get that really when I'm on an interview, it's like, yeah, I mean, at this point, we pretty much require sales experience, but that's not most important. What's most important is what is your mindset? What are your day-to-day habits? What do you believe in? What are your goals? But most importantly, how much grit do you have? Because if you have a weak mindset, it's hard to help you. If you're not coachable, it's impossible. Like, if you're not willing to copy and paste and do exactly what we say and follow the blueprint, follow the system, that agent's gonna struggle. And so really that's what it comes down to is it's not hard to it's not hard to hire a lot of people. Like, any of us on this call, like, we could go out, we could get off this call, we could all find at least 5 to 10 people in our contacts and hire them into this business. But are they the right fit? Are they going to work out? Do they have the right characteristics to succeed in this? Because this business isn't for everybody.
I wanted to add a few things, but I wanted to see from the team. We want to make it a conversation. Drop in the chat if you guys have questions, tips, anything that you may want to get more support on, or you are doubting, or you need help, right? One of the main things that we want to encourage here is that collaboration, right? At the end of the day, there's no way we can do this alone. And if you can, then we may be in the wrong business. So what questions do you have, or what struggles are you going through right now? Or what do you want to hear more about on this call when it comes to recruiting, onboarding, and making sure that your people are winning as you bring them in? That's the main thing, right? I mean, God is not going to bless me with thousands of people if I can't even take care of 5. It's just not going to happen. And sometimes it's a knowledge gap, which is okay. And sometimes it's a matter of priorities, right? When you choose to be a leader, sometimes, which is crazy, it's, I know I'm going to lose a little bit of money up front. in some cases, in some cases, right? So you got to decide, do I build a team, or do I just focus on my own production the whole time? Which either way, it's okay, but you want to be true to yourself when it comes to that. So I want to hear from some of you guys. I mean, any questions here on the chat when it comes to recruiting and best practices, because we are cooking a lot of practices that we're going to be sharing with you guys through the next few weeks when it comes to the visibility on onboarding, especially if you're a manager.
Hey, Felix,
What do we got here? What do we
can
got
you hear
here?
me? Me, my
My
home.
bro.
What's going on, my man? So I had a question. There was somebody on one of the training calls for Prosper, one of the last few, where they said the reason they're growing so quick is because they have people in their agency that are really good at certain things, such as really good closers, really good recruiters, people really good in different spots that they're weak in. Now, in order to find that and find your weaknesses, does that happen if you hire enough people, or once you have 5 to 10 people on your team, should you be looking to strictly try to find people that are good at what you're weak at? Does that come naturally, or do you target that?
It's a great question. That's a high level question from Milo when it comes to, now we're talking about building a business, right? And I always say it comes to two things: time and money. Ideally, if you're a leader, you want to be hiring your legs around leadership. So if I'm bad with setting expectations and being super direct, or that's a blind spot, I'm going to look to Milo because I know he doesn't struggle with that. But now I need to be very aware of the season of my business, because now Milo, let's say Milo now requires or will want some profit, some equity of my business, some money, and I need to be in the best position. That's why we always say you want to really be killing it on your own personal production, because when you get to the question around Milo, you should be leveraging each other, but nothing comes for free. So if I see that Tristan is a beast at recruiting and I'm not, Tristan may say, "Well, why am I going to recruit for you? We're in different verticals. Like I'm in a whole different agency. So how can I help? Like, what's the value exchange that we're going to get between each other?" Then Tristan may find a Chase, and Chase is like, "Well, I'm really good at the onboarding, and you're really good at bringing people in through the TikTok funnel." But you be naive, and I want to make sure, Milo, I'm answering your question, that you shouldn't do this alone, and you should create champions around your team that you're looking at, even if they're agents at the moment. We have agents here that already sees their second week. I'm like, this person is going to be a great leader. So you start being more intentional with those people and bringing them to different conversations, step by step, but little by little, you're seeing how they are performing when given the opportunity. I don't know if that answers your question, brother, or Jonah, you want to add anything, but that is a very important question.
If I could add to that, where you 100% seek people out and look to hire people where you're weak. And that's one thing that I've been intentional about, and leverage each other's weakness. And it doesn't even come down to having to give up equity or form a partnership or anything, where so many people look at this as just an upline downline type of scenario. But if you can leverage each other's weakness points, where it's like, hey, this person's a better sales trainer. So I might, I've got a manager where they're a better sales trainer than me, or they're a better producer. So I might plug my agents in and have them listen, like JP's on this call. JP said, "Hey, dude, I plug my guys in with Lucas because Lucas is actively on the phones, closing, everything else. And so they're able to learn from Lucas, but then I might hire and help Lucas with some recruits. Or, I might take phone calls and help his agents with underwriting or whatever it is." So just being able to form that, it doesn't have to be an official partnership, but like be able to form those relationships and partnerships with people in your business. And because we're all good at different things. And it's that balance of, it was the CEO of Gymshark, Ben Francis. I heard him on a podcast a while back talk about how he worked in every single department of Gymshark, whether it was like the marketing and media side, the production side, the finance side. And he wasn't a master at any of those, but he understood and he knew just enough to be dangerous. And then he hired people that were experts in those realms and leveraged each other's strengths. So it comes down to like being able to understand, and like being able to understand, how do I hire, how do I recruit, being able to know how to produce, and putting up a few big production months to show people you can do it. And like, maybe focusing on different areas of your business in different seasons, but that's also important as well. So I hope that answered your question, Nick.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was just also confused on, I mean, I guess you could do both of kind of hiring people, seeing where their strengths are naturally, and then filling the holes in your business that way. And then also specifically looking for people in other industries that you already know are very high level at that one skill set. I guess you can do both. I wasn't sure if there's a really most efficient way, but I know it's kind of hard to answer.
But I mean, it is a good point, right? And that's the thing with business, right? It has its ebbs and flows, and it relies a lot on your season, right? Sometimes we have a season of sowing, a season of harvesting. The way I like to look at it is I want to focus first on my business problems. If my main business problem right now is that I don't have the right funnel to generate traffic to hire, then I have to look at two things. Do I go out there and I set up tables in different gyms? Do I send out DMs? Do I start coming up and do TikToks that are funny or whatever the case may be that help me attract the right agent profile? Or do I hire somebody that will help me recruit that? But Felix, I don't have the capital to do that. Well, then I got to do the first one. Because it's going to be manual sometimes, especially if I don't have the capital to do that. So I like to start with the problem and then focus on the how, but the why and the main problem first need to be there, because sometimes we want to solve something that's really not moving the needle for your business. It's more of a nice thing to have.
Yep, that makes sense. Appreciate you both.
Good question. Good question, team.
Any other questions so far before we jump into the next part? Cool. And one thing I do want to one thing that we're working on is working on different verticals to find the right people and bring them into this business. So for example, Felix this weekend, he's setting up a hiring booth at one of the local gyms here. And they're doing an event. So they have different vendors coming out. So we scheduled that. So he's doing a hiring booth. We're gonna start going to different job fairs to hire people. We're gonna start running ads and doing ads and then doing instead of one-on-one, we're going to be doing like the first call is going to be group Zoom calls, and then based on that, we're going to funnel people and then like filter out to see who is a good fit and have one-on-one calls from that point. Also like, dude, just putting like simple stuff like putting hiring sticker on my McLaren, and like, dude, Ethan got a hiring sticker on his car. I don't know how many recruits he's got, but I tell you what, we pull up to the car show on just on Saturday and I had 23 people that followed me and I had 7 DMs just off of that. And so think about how can I like what are different creative ways I can market myself in this business because there's not one way to skin a cat. And what's got us to this point isn't going to get us to the next level. And so everything works a little bit. Like I was just on the phone with Kylie. She's our social media manager before this. And I said, hey, Kylie, I need you to create a bunch of new business cards for me, Claudia, and Felix. So she just shipped out a bunch of business cards they're going to get here this week. And every time I'm going out to dinner, I'm having a conversation with the server. If the server is personable, if I can tell this person likes people, he's a hard worker, I'm going to have a conversation with him. I'm going to say, hey, dude, how long have you been a server for? Hey, how do you like it? What do you see yourself doing long term? Just asking questions, putting feelers out there. And if he's keeping his options open, then I'm gonna say, hey, bro, we're looking to hire. You look like a stud. I think you do really well. This is what we do. And here's where a lot of people go wrong. Like if I was gonna recruit Felix, where like people are like, oh, I own a financial services company and I own the brokerage. And it's no, dude, I've never said that to anybody once. I said, hey, bro, we sell life insurance. Life insurance? Yeah, dude. It's super simple. So basically what we're doing is we're just calling people that filled out a request, ask for our help, and we're just getting back to them. And we're helping them. We get paid a few days later after we close the policy. Dude, average commission's $900. It's a lot of work, but first starting, the goal is to, put enough dials in and put enough reps in that we're getting you to the point where within your first month or so for sale per day, And then based on that, slowly increase your production up from there. I'm like, oh, really? That's cool. Be like, hey, dude, yeah, let me give you my card and I'm gonna text you. Here's my number. I'll send you a few videos to watch. If it's something that you're serious about, something you can see yourself doing, shoot me a text and we can hop on a call to see if you're a good fit. And then boom, like very non-pressure, like, hey, this is what we do. I'm also, a lot of times when I meet people, I'm getting them on Instagram. If you can get somebody on Instagram and you may not hire them then, but dude, if you're consistently marketing yourself, and that's something we'll get into later on this call as well, of doing a recap of that, but they see your stories, they see new agent wins, they see other people coming in crushing it, they see the culture, they see the office, a little bit of the lifestyle, all these different things. Eventually, that person's always going to reach out. Like the amount of people that watched my stuff for 3 months, 6 months, year, even I've had people that have been watched my stuff for 2 years straight and they finally reached out to me. But if you can get them on social media and you're consistently posting and marketing yourself, then event is just a matter of time with dripping on them, then you're going to bring that person in. And so what I'm going to do here is we'll drop this in the chat for you guys as well. But here's our interview, like our interview script, SOP. So if you guys follow this word for word, you guys are gonna close. You guys are gonna hire the right people and find the right people. But that's what I really want to emphasize. I know I've said that a few times, but finding and partnering with the right people, because for me in the past, there was a period of time where I was just hiring anybody and everybody, and a part of me got exhausted. I ended up resenting this business because I was working with people that didn't have the right mindset and simply didn't want it as badly as I was. And it got to the point where I felt like I was a babysitter. And nobody wants to be in that position where you feel like you're babysitting or you feel like you're having to pull teeth to get people to go to work. So I'm looking, like we talked about earlier, I'm looking for the right habits, the right mindset, the right grit, tenacity, and work ethic. And then once I find those people, then setting the right expectations to set them up for success in this business. And so this is the overall structure. Where call number one, it's just a screening call. It's typically pretty quick, anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. I spend the majority of that call just asking questions and just getting feelers. And I tell a lot of people no too, and that's okay. But if they get past and they pass all of my questions, and we'll get into questions here later on, but then the call number two is building up their belief in the opportunity or sharing other successful testimonials of agents. And then another helpful tool as well is maybe get somebody else on the call that, even if, like, let's say I hop on a call with Ian's on my screen. So I'll pick on Ian. Like I hop on a call with Ian and I explain it and set it up, and Ian's like, dude, I'm a server now. I don't know about 1099 sales. I'm not sure. But he's like, dude, I'm willing to work hard, and Ian's a dog. So I'm like, okay. And then Felix comes on the call, or Milo, or another manager, or somebody else. And even if that manager, that person says the exact same thing and says everything that I said on the call prior, that's going to build their belief up that much higher, because now you have that extra validation from another person. So really, it's just setting the right expectations and building up their belief level. Because I don't know about you guys, but I was pitched this opportunity as like, dude, it's awesome. You're gonna make a ton of money your first. Like I was pitched the wrong way. Like you're gonna make a ton of money your first month. Da da da. You're gonna kill it. So I came in and I got humbled really quick. But like in my head, I'm thinking, dude, this is too good to be true. And so when you're able to showcase not only the good of the business but also the bad, and have just a very open and honest conversation with them, then that's how you're able to really bring people in. And what I've also, how I run my calls is much different than how I used to, where the more traditional interview style you can keep it, the better. Like I'm not pitching anybody to come work with me. I'm having them, like, they need to be selling you on why they're a good fit, and ask them that, like, hey, what makes you a good fit with our organization? How do you think you would perform here? Like really asking those questions and digging deep is how you're able to find the right people and scare away the wrong people. And then I never hire anybody on the first call. Typically it's a 2-call close, and then do a third call if I need to, where if I can tell that they're on the fence, then I'm scheduling a third call because I'm only hiring somebody if they're 100% committed to the opportunity. And dude, sometimes I've had to do like 4 or 5 calls with people. And I'll tell like, hey, we're only gonna bring I'll tell people that too, like, hey, we're only gonna bring you on if you're committed. And ask them, like, based on what we went over today, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this opportunity if we did decide to hire you? And then only hire people that say a 10. Anything less than a 10 is not a good fit. So then anybody that you do hire, here is the form to text them. So just save this in your notes, copy paste it. So have them join the Pinnacle Discord, text them that, boom, 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 and then say, hey, when you join, make sure you select you're with Prosper Agencies so you can get added to all of our sub chats. And then, hey, you're also going to get the onboarding form if they're unlicensed. Make sure to let them know, hey, once you fill out all your information, then you're going to get an automated text message with an onboarding calendar. Book the soonest time that's available. And then Claudia will get you set up with the next steps. And then boom, boom, boom. This is just some mindset notes where it's like number 1 is take control of the conversation, just like a client. Whoever asks the most questions wins. And also focus on just genuinely connecting and listening to them. Like it doesn't have to be something that's very robotic or scripted. It's just let it flow like it's a regular conversation. But above all, these are the 5 characteristics that we look for, and we only hire people that possess all 5 out of the 5. Like this is the cadence that I have stuck to ever since I've been building and recruiting. Number 1, work ethic, most important. Coachability, consistency. You have to be consistent in anything to find success. Accountability, like being able to be accountable. And then last and most importantly, character and integrity. Figure out, like, ask the right questions to dig deep to really figure out, hey, what are you looking for? You know, is it better training or support? Are you looking to be a part of the right culture or community? Do you want to make more income? Freedom of schedule? The ability to work remotely? Figure out what their why is and really tap into their why, because what I've learned is we're not all motivated the same way. And I've also had to learn that with people we work with too. Like some people come in and they're motivated financially and they want to make a lot of money. Other people are motivated by a sense of community. Other people are motivated by status and leaderboards. Other people are motivated by incentives. So also being able to figure out the people that you work with, hey, what is this person motivated by? And how can I use that to bring out the best in this individual? And then so this is our script, and we didn't create a word for word script like on calls because I don't want it to sound super scripted or be very uptight. So the cadence of this is just, dude, just flow with it like a regular conversation. You know, the tone just lighthearted, playful. You know, you're in a good mood. You know, like you're not like uptight, like, hey, like actually, you know, have like same thing with the client is have fun with it. Ask them how their day's going. Um, and then chit chat a little bit, build some rapport, and then go right into it. And so if you guys ever get stuck or you guys are like are wondering what are the right questions to ask, this is what you guys should be asking during the interview process. It doesn't have to be all of these questions, just pull out a few or as many as you want to based on the person you're talking to. It's like, hey, what attracted you to our group? How long have you been working with your current company? What do you do? What does your day-to-day look like? What are your goals? What motivates you? Like really, you know, try to dig a few layers deeper to figure out what they're made of, because the truth is anybody can interview well. Anybody can tell you what they want to hear. But if you like figure out what does their day-to-day schedule look like, what are you doing to better yourself on a daily basis. How are you motivated? What are your goals? What motivates you? What's your why? I mean, I ask everybody this. I just ask everybody point blank, you know, hey, why should we hire you? How do you think you're performing? Again, it's the posture of letting them sell you on why they think that they're a good fit. Some value points to bring up. Just talk about like our new agent boot camp and live Zoom training calls of like, hey, you're gonna come in, you're gonna go through a full new agent training course. It's done by myself, four other managers. Every call in there is anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours each day. On top of that, you're gonna have a full video bootcamp module you go through and complete on your own time. We're gonna give you guys homework to do, but ultimately we're gonna make sure you're equipped with all the tools and the resources. So once you have your script down, you have the objections down and everything else, then we'll get you on the phones and we'll get you going. Talk about our lock-ins, our leadership retreats, our values, the people we work with. Share your personal experience, like share why you joined, why this changed your life. But more importantly, share other agent wins of like, hey, we just had this new agent come in. He's been here for 60 days. He's been here for 2 months. This is how much he's produced so far with our group. People love to hear that. So Felix, anything that you would add on any of this?
This is really good. This is really, really good. If I was in my 20s, which I'm not anymore, unfortunately, and I was building, I would literally have all of my systems just like this saved in a place where now that I'm in my 30s, I'm thinking, who are the next 10 Felixes? Who are the next 10 Tristans? Who are the next 10 Milos? Because this business is repetitive. It is repetitive. At the end of the day, it's repetitive. So if I have something that's repetitive and predictable, I'm already acting like if I was on my 50s. A lot of times we're not doing enough of not only recruiting, but just building teams because we're behaving on where we are today. We want to start behaving like if I already had 100 people with me, and that's going to challenge you. And it starts with just being humble, recognizing that we have an opportunity around this and making sure that at the end of the day, I'm leveraging the people that are doing it better than me. So at the end of the day, comp, carriers, and what we offer, we're not the only ones that offer what we offer when it comes to that. We may have better comps, but it's the same thing at the end of the day. If you look at it, majority of the people are looking for support. And one of the things that I would add to this team is vision. When I first got into working in different corporate Americas, the first thing they do so well is sell you on the vision. What does that mean? Oh, you're going to get promoted twice a year. You're going to get a 3% bump of your salary every year. And you just have to do this, this, and that, and you're going to get promoted. Well, Felix, we have the same thing with our compensation grid, but you want to add more than just the money. You want to add that now they can build their own business, that now they can have different career path. And if you do a good job enough with the vision, you're going to attract the right people. But sometimes we leave our vision short term, only within the first 3 months. But what about after you hit your first 3 months? What do you now have to offer me? And it's a constant reinventing ourselves. So I would really take this and really study it and make sure that you're able to say, well, now I just need to start with one. I don't need 1,000. I just need one. And if I treat that one and I help that one win, life, God, the universe is going to bless me with much more. But just like with clients, you want to be in constant communication with people. You don't want to wait till you're ready because you're never going to be ready. If you have the right heart, you have the right system, but most importantly, you have the right intention to have people win, just make them win. If you don't believe that you can help make people win, that may be an indirect feedback for us that you're not ready to build a team. And I know that's not always the case. Because if I know I can help people win, why am I not growing my team?
Amen. Well said.
Some perspective.
Well said. And picking it up here where it's just setting, again, goes back to setting the right expectations where, and I would say this word for word. So if I was like, on a call with Felix where I'm gonna be like, hey Felix, I'll be straight with you. And we're very picky on who we bring on because unlike other sales orgs, we genuinely pour a lot of time, effort, and energy into the people we bring on to make sure that they have the proper tools, resources, and training to be successful. So before we hire anyone, we just want to make sure they understand not only the pros, but also the cons of this industry. Because, I mean, Felix, for you, you'd never want to go into anything without knowing all the information. And for us, we simply never want to bring on anyone without them being fully committed to the opportunity in our group. Does that make sense? And then boom.
Yeah.
And then based on that, just like a client, figure out what their pain points are. Evaluate where they're at in their career. So do they want control of their schedule? Are they capped on leads? Are they with a captive company where, they only get a certain amount of leads per week and it's hard to hit their production goals? Or are they having to cold call or knock doors? Do they want the ability to make more income? Do they want to be a part of somewhere that has better culture, better support, better values, integrity, community, opportunity to own your own book of business? That's really important to a lot of people, including myself. And then so based on that, just get a feeler for all of those various things. And then the second call just is along the lines of, hey Felix, I think you may, I always say may, like I don't say definitely, like, hey Felix, I think you may fit in well with our group. But I tell you what, man, let's schedule a follow-up call. Tell you what, either today or tomorrow. Today's Wednesday. So either tomorrow or Friday. Hey, do me a favor before our next call. I'm genuinely an open book. So come up with a list of questions. The harder, the better. And that way we can have a more in-depth conversation on if this would be a good fit for you or not. And then boom. And then give them some homework to do. And then moving on here, and we're running out of time. We've only got 5 minutes left of this call, but it's like also being able to understand the objections that they have. It's like acknowledge those before they say it. So like, for example, income proof. Like, dude, I'm an open book. Like, especially when I was personally producing, that is your biggest leverage. Like for you guys that are producing, it's like leverage that and say, hey, like, hey, these are my deposits. This is how much I made off my own personal pen. This is my income. This is how many families I helped this month. This is how much I deposited in my bank account. Numbers don't lie. I've done that. I've logged in my bank account tons of times on a Zoom. It's like people want to see real numbers because there's a lot of fluff out there. Explaining the lead quality, just running through the numbers on that of what that looks like. Hey, and that's why tracking your data is so important. Where it's like, hey, I have the data where I know that I have to make 132 dials in order to be able to get a sale. And I have that tracked. Dude, screen share your accountability tracker with people. Like, bro, people want to see that. Like, hey, this was my start time on Monday. This was my stop time. This is how many dials I made. This is how many conversations I had with people. This is how much I closed. And if it was a bad week, dude, that's okay. Like, tell people that too. Like, hey, this was actually a lower week, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't produce as much as I should have. But this was the week prior, and next week's going to be better. And be transparent. People just want transparency. It's an MLM. Like, clearly explain the difference between Pinnacle and an MLM. Like, we do not have to rely off of others to get paid. We're not forcing agents to go sell to their friends and family or recruit their friends and family. Like my captive company I was with, it was much more of an MLM vibe where it was hard. The leads were provided. We were only given X amount of leads per week. So the only people I saw that were making money were people that were recruiting and hiring. And that was the path to 6 figures a year. Like I came into here, I really didn't hire anybody. I barely hired anybody my first year. And I was able to make deep 6 figures off my own personal pen. So tell people that like there's 2 paths you can go down. There's the personal production path and there's the building the business path. Lack of structure and support. Talk about the trainings we have. Talk about the one-on-one calls, the mentorship, the stability of the insurance industry, how it's recession proof. Talk about the passion you can get behind what we do and why it's important. If you've had a death claim, share about that. share why life insurance is important, and everybody needs life insurance. Effort and energy, culture, um, you know, facts tell, stories sell. So share stories of other agents' wins, different things, death claims you've had with clients. Like, just give them an open and honest breakdown of what this business really entails. And then, more importantly, this has been super helpful. This is the yearly income calculator. So we have a lot of guys using this. If you're not using this, I would highly encourage you to. Where the goal for this is like, how can we have anybody, like, let's say I bring it and there's an agent where he's his first few weeks in and he gets on a call with a stud. It's like, how can we create it so SOP'd and so laid out that that person can recruit a high level player? And what it comes down to is following the structure we just went over. And then I'll get on a call with them and I'll go over this. So like break down the numbers on that of like, hey, so you're going to start at 70%. On average, let's say your pickup percentage is 11%. You present to 13% of those people. And let's say you're bad. Let's say you're closing at a 30% clip. All right. So if you're 70%, pick up 13, closing at 30 on the low end, average policy for our agency is $1,300, $1,350. Okay. So, dude, it's going to be a lot of work. You're going to have to really grind, but let's say you're a freaking grinder and you come in here, you're making $300 a day, you're working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, and you go balls to the wall. So you're definitely not going to be staying at this 70% commission. You're going to work your way up and be a lot higher than that. But let's say hypothetically, you just stayed at a 70 for the entire year. Your upfront commission is going to be $250,000. After chargebacks, you're making 200K. And let's say you work your way up to a 95% comp. And let's say you're able to get your closing percentage to, let's say 45%. All right. And you're still grinding, dog. You're grinding and you're going balls to the wall. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. All right. You're going to do $519,000 after chargebacks. You're going to deposit $400,000. Let's say, hey, I only want to do 150 dials and I want to take Saturdays off. I don't want to work any Saturdays. It's like, all right, well, you're going to do after chargebacks, you're going to do 166 grand for the year on your own personal pen. So you basically cost yourself 50 grand by making half the amount of dials and making chargebacks. Let's say you're not only working 5 days a week and you're making 50 dials a day. All right, well, you're going to make $55,000 for the year and you should probably figure something else out. Go work at Verizon Wireless or other sales jobs. There's a lot easier sales jobs you can have where you make $55,000 a year. And I'll send this to people. I'll be like, hey, knock your socks off and say, hey, I increased my closing percentage to, if I can get it up to 50%, half the people I'm presenting to, work my way up to 100% comp. Let's say I'm cranking and I do this and I'm going hard and I get this up. I could get this up to maybe even 1450 on average. All right. Well, I'm going to do 666,532 after chargebacks. If it stays at 1350, boom, 495. And so if you can break down, let's say we can get your presentation percentage up to 16% of the people you talk to, or even 20. 20 is pretty doable. There's a lot of people doing 20. All right, dude. Then that gets crazy. And then you're only doing $150 a day. Well, not 1,500. All right. After chargebacks, $388,000. And so just really like breaking, if people can see the numbers and you explain, hey, this is going to be a grind, but all it is a numbers game and you play the numbers in your favor, then that's how you're able to like, and they can, because a lot of people are visual people and they can visually see it. They're like, all right, cool. That's not so bad. I think I can do that. But when there's like uncertainty or it's very vague or it's like, yeah, we're in financial services and we sell these advanced market products and like, They're like, oh, dude, I don't know if I could do that. That sounds pretty advanced. But if you're like, dude, sell life insurance, like as long as you can come in here, grind, first couple months are going to be hard, but then after that, it genuinely gets easier and easier. And as long as you got grit and a solid work ethic, and you care about helping families, dude, you're going to kill it. And you explain it and you break down the numbers and break down the math. That's how you're able to attract the right type of people to this business. So Felix, close us out, brother.
I think I said it earlier. If you take care of a few, God will bless you with much more. So focus on the process, but most importantly, if it's a numbers game and you do want to build and you're not sitting with at least 10 people every week, are you really moving the needle? Because we're all beast closers. We can all sell. So sometimes we sell ourselves better than we can sell to other clients. So just think through that. If it's your goal this weekend, today, immediately think, what's getting on the way for me to bring more people in? That's all I got, team. Hope this was helpful. I mean, I took a lot of notes, and I've been doing this for some time now, but I would copy all of these links that were just shared, and I will literally create your own drive, your own agency, pillar agency, my drive, recruiting. So when I bring more people, boom, synergy, like boom, recruiting. And obviously you can tweak them to your liking or to your style, but at least you have the foundation that you can leverage.
Yeah. And
No, I actually believe it.
Tell them that's the energy we need, baby. That's the energy. Let's go.
that was either really good or really bad. I don't know if they were crying or laughing, but anyway, we have all of this on the Prosper Agent Hub on the manager side. So it's all in there for you guys to take advantage of, along with a lot of other resources. But we just dropped the leadership blueprint, the interview script, and also the yearly income calculator in the chat for you guys to all click on, bookmark, and save, and use on your future hiring calls. So hope that was helpful, guys. God bless.